YouTube world. Alright, so this is gonna be a video on talking about making a algae scrubber. I'm gonna try to make one that is pretty dang good, homemade. Alright, so we're looking at this tank because I bought a master kit, test kit, to test the parameters a couple weeks back. And I noticed that this tank had no problems whatsoever. As you can see, it has a very, well, it used to be a lot worse. It's not as bad as it was maybe a week or so ago. But it has a lot of hair algae growth. A lot of it. It's everywhere. It's growing everywhere. Like right here, it's very long. It is everywhere. But it was a lot worse. It was a lot longer. But I ended up running the circulation pump, the wave maker, 24/7 instead of once in a while. So it runs 24/7 now, and it actually, a lot of it actually cut back, and it's starting to, it's not growing as fast. So that's cool. Anyways, I was like, that's pretty cool that this tank has no nitrates at all. It's completely clean. I've been looking into figuring out how to make a tank very self-efficient, but still looking very clean with not so much hair algae growing all over the place. I got a lot of nitrate snails in here, tiger ones and zebra ones, because I do feed this portion with the fry a lot of baby food, so they gotta clean up. But they're actually doing a good job cleaning up the algae as well. They're trying, at least they're trying. Anyways, when you have a big tank and there's a lot of fish in it, for example like this tank, this is what I really want to apply the algae scrubber to, and aquaponics. But when you have a tank like this, it has about 40-50 fish in it. It has a lot of fish, big fish, small fish, even fish in the swamp, a whole bunch of guppies and stuff, baby guppies, and even a betta fish. But I noticed when I got the test kit right here, and I actually tested this, that the plants don't keep up. I have to change the water once a week to have a, nitrate level low and whatnot. And I have to do about 50%. That's huge in my opinion. I feel like that changes the parameters of the water too much, because as you can see, I have crushed coil in there, and I got something to help buffer the pH and stuff, and all this, I have all this stuff in here. So the pH is definitely different than my tap water, and when I put the conditioner in there, whatever, it's not the same type of parameters as this tank is when it sits for a good month. When it's just sitting and you're doing like maybe 10% water changes like every single day, trying to keep up with it, every fish loves it. But when you change 50% of it all suddenly, every fish is like, what happened? So I want to be able to keep the nitrates very low all the time with a lot of fish, and I think it will just be a much healthier environment for the fish, because the nitrates continuously rise no matter what. Only thing that will take away nitrates is water changes and plants. This tank does not have enough plants to keep up with all the fish. There's too many fish. It definitely has no ammonia, no nitrate with the I. It has none of these problems. Just nitrate will continuously to rise over time. If you have no plants and it's very heavily stocked, it will probably rise very heavily, and you would have to do 50-60% water change every week. So I don't want to do that. I want the tank to be much more stable. It would be awesome to be able to have a very efficient tank where you would only have to literally just top it off, and maybe once in a while just add some minerals, like a conditioner to the water, to add minerals and fertilizers and slim coat for the fish or whatnot, just to have a very good running system, right? So nitrates will rise really high. People will You know, take 50% and it will drop it back down. But depending on what type of tank, if you have a sickly tank, the pH is going to be high. Your tap water is not going to be high. You take 50% out. Let's say you got pH of 8.0. You take 50% out and you put, let's say you have neutral water. In my opinion, that would cut your pH to 7.5. A 0.5 pH fluctuation is a huge fluctuation to fish, in my opinion. Fish get used to it. Oh yeah, fish are strong. But you still want a very healthy life. Here's the next thing. Like say you have a big tank, there's a lot of fish in it. You know, you feed the fish every single day instead of, you know, every other day. You feed them, some people feed them 3 times a day and they have a lot of fish. Nitrates will rise much quicker, right? So they're swimming basically in their waste, kind of, sort of. I know the filter breaks it all down and it's not as deadly as real waste ammonia, but it still rises, and at a certain point, according to this, over 40 ppm, you know, it starts getting unhealthy to fish. So you have a lot of fish in there. It goes up to, you know, let's say 40, 60 ppm, I don't know, in 5 days, and you do a 50%, it drops back to 20. But again, that is also a huge fluctuation in that. Let's say you can actually have nitrates stay at a stable 20 and never go up or down, just always at 20. You know, that would be much more stable. I read that in the wild, you know, in the world, in the oceans, it never goes above 5. I'm like, wow. But if we can keep it under 40 and keep it stable, you know, let's say we can have a tank gradually rise and it takes a month for it to get to 40. So, you know, that would only be a 10 ppm change in 1 week, right? You do a big water change on that, you know, it wouldn't be a huge nitrate change. It still would be a big pH fluctuation, depending on what type of setup you have. But, yeah, so, you know, this is why a lot of people say do, you know, only 30% water changes, 25% water changes. But when you have a heavily stocked tank like this and you only do 30% every week, your nitrates will go like this, and then they kind of go down, and then they gradually, so basically they just keep rising. It never goes down until the point where your fish are like acting all funny. You're like, what's going on? And then you do this huge water change, and then the fish start acting normal again in a day. I don't know, whatever. Right? Hell yeah. Some fish get used to it. Some fish handle 100 ppm, you know. Goldfish probably can. He probably can. He probably doesn't care. But yeah, I want a good running system. So that is the whole logic behind the algae scrubber, because the algae scrubber grows a whole lot of algae, and that will also consume nitrates, which will hold the balance better. Think of a saltwater tank. Why does a saltwater tank, you know, you can let that run for 3-6 months before you do a water change? That's what I want to do here, you know. I know that a saltwater tank has a lot more biological filtration, you know, organisms and stuff like this, and you have a protein skimmer, and I know you have a couple extra things, but you can still, you know, you can get a whole plant system set up. I saw some aquaponic pretty cool videos, and you can actually have a whole entire plant up there and running water from the tank all the way up there in these I think they're called plateaus, and they will grow real good, and you know, don't even need highlight for them. And they will also remove nitrates. So there's always something we can do for the health of our fish. Right. So let's get back to the other part. So this tank right here, it never rises. It really doesn't. It's always 0. Everything is at 0. It's pretty incredible. I know it doesn't have a heavy fish load. Also, the fish are still small. They're not, you know, to their full size yet. They're still maybe 3 inches or so. But it has no problems. It's pretty cool. So this is what we're working with. So we got all types of fun stuff. So I was thinking actually for a few minutes that I should somehow have the inside part what goes in the aquarium also reflect, but I'm now thinking that when the algae starts growing and everything, that won't actually be that necessary. So we're not even going to worry about having something reflecting going within the aquarium. So anyways, let's talk about everything we have. So we got some tape that is reflectable. It's some, reflecting tape, and it's, it's tape, so it sticks, it's sticky. So that's going to go on the outside portion, which goes on the outside of the aquarium. So we got two containers, one goes on the inside, one goes on the outside. We also got some things here will allow algae to grow on it. So I got this from the dollar store, I got this from the dollar store. This would probably be a much better idea for algae growth. So I also got this, but this is a divider, but it's just one I had laying around. And then, I had some more. So what I might do is like really put this, and then put this in the middle, and then put this, and zip time kind of, and kind of have it so it's kind of apart, so it kind of just flimsies, so it can really grow some good algae. And then we got a stone, because we're going to have it on the bottom, which goes inside the aquarium, which is going to allow air bubbles to rise over these things, which will allow algae to grow. This we're going to put on the outside to reflect light. So we're going to put this tape all over this entire thing, and then we're going to put LEDs in here, and then we're just going to turn it on. It's going to go, it's going to be really bright. Hell yeah. Then we got suction cups. We got a whole lot of suction cups, because it will take 4, one on each corner, to hold it on the outside, and also 4 for the inside, each corner to hold it in the inside. Then we got a whole bunch of these. Then we got air tubes, and I got this right here. This is like to put air tubes together, I guess, if you like cut it and you like dang it. But see, this right here, I think this is designed so you can actually take this part out, and you can put another stone, connected to it. So instead of a stone, I got this, and I'm going to push that in there instead, and then put an air line, so it's going to push air this way and air in this way, so it's really a lot of air. Hell yeah. Alright, so what we got is a razor blade to cut it, because of course we don't want it this big. We're going to cut it, like here and here, just enough to hold this rock. Excuse me, I had to cough there for a second. Alright. So we don't want to use all of this, so we're just going to cut enough of it to hold the LEDs and this light. But I would actually recommend the one on the outside to be a little bit bigger, because then you can put more tape on the sides, which will reflect light like this and all types of crazy ways, right? This one, you want it only, because you don't want it to take up a foot of space, right? You don't want it to take up no space, so we only want it to be as big as this stone, because the stone is pretty dang wide, and these are very skinny, so this will fit in there perfect, all 3 of them. So this will only be what, an inch, maybe right here. But you do want them to be as close as possible to the same size, because the way they're shaped. Like if it was perfectly straight up, you know what I mean, then it would be fine. You could cut one here, and then you can cut one here, because when you put them on top of each other, you want it to seal, right? So basically one goes in the aquarium, and the other one on the outside of the aquarium on the glass, and it's gonna seal, you know what I mean? So basically with this one, I'm gonna have to make both the same size, because they have to seal, because you don't want the light to be escaping, because then you're gonna have light from the outs, from this thing shining in like this into the aquarium, and you don't want that. You just want the light to be concentrated within this box, so it's going to grow a whole lot of algae. Hell yeah. So this tape cost, for a little bit, it's not expensive. I think I paid $10 for a little bit of this. The guy actually basically just gave it to me. Everything else pretty much dollar store, dollar. This is $4 from Walmart, dollar store. You can get a whole roll of this for $5. And then the suction cups and all this good stuff, $1 each. And the most expensive thing will be the air pump to run it all. Well, alright guys, I'm going to start cutting stuff, and I will take more videos throughout and show you what I have done. I'm going to start with this. Alright. Alrighty. So we got a box here, and we're going to cut this box. And I got these razor blades here. They're pretty neat. I actually also from the dollar store, and the reason why I like these is because